Be loud, be heard. Shake the system until the truth falls out.
There's a fine line between uncovering evidence and rewriting it. In the Bryon Macron case, one man crossed that line, and the system let him. His name is Paul Hartman. He wasn't a detective, wasn't a coroner, wasn't even law enforcement at that time, but somehow his unverified findings became part of the official story, and to this day, his vision still clouds what really happened. Today, we're breaking down how one self-made investigator blurred fact and fiction, and how Medina County was more than willing to let it happen. Listen up, Tentacle Nation. If you want to keep this roll call tight, head over to www.theinfamousexchief.com. That's Command Central. From there, you can slide into Patreon. It's a monthly subscription with exclusive drops at least once a month, or lurk for free just to jump in on the polls and pretend you had a say. Discord. That's where the real chatter goes down. Think of it like the squad room. The coffee's cold, the jokes are bad, but everyone's running their mouth. And the best part, you don't need some shiny Facebook profile. You can show up as Detective Donut or Sergeant Snark or Detective Dimmer Switch if you want. Nobody cares. Just get in and start talking. Hit the links for YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Apple Podcasts. That's standard issue stuff right there. Old school? Not a problem. Email me. Feeling paranoid? Use Signal. Signal it over. Encrypted tighter than a rookie's first report. Want your voice on the record? Speak pipe. Leave me a voicemail. If it doesn't sound like you're 3 seats to the wind, I might even use it. Got a tip on a case? Fill out the tip sheet. Be as quiet or loud as you want. Do I burn sources? Ask him. Oh, wait, you can't. Want me to cover a case? Drop it under case consideration. Or keep it simple. Buy me a coffee and grab me a Brew Loud, Be Heard mug. Because this isn't just a channel, it's a shift briefing. Be loud, be heard, shake the system until the truth falls out. I'm Scott Gardner, the infamous ex-chief, former cop, former homicide detective, former chief. I've lived both sides of the system enforcing the law and surviving its shadows. I know the rules, the players, and the dirty truths they don't want you to hear. Before we dive in, thank you to everyone sending in tips and emails. I know it sometimes takes me a little longer to respond, but trust me, I see every one of them and I will get back to you. If I've dropped a heart on your comment, on whatever platform you're commenting on, that's me letting you know I read it, and we've had some heated debate. It doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with your statement. It's just letting you know that I'm paying attention and have read your statement. Also, a shout out to the Tentacle Nation member who sent this shirt I'm wearing today. Thank you. We've had a lot of new people join Discord over the recent posts. Welcome to the community, the Tentacle Nation. Most of you are catching up on the photos from Bryan's phone. We're digging into the body cam interview from the Christopher Olsen case, exactly what Discord is for. Analyze the evidence, trade theories, and help each other piece together what really happened. Now, we're going to get into what I refer to as the quick receipt tutorial. This has been my term that I use often, receipts, to show the evidence. Receipts show evidence, and I always want to talk about receipts. So let's quickly show where they are. All original files sent to me by BCI, the Medina County Sheriff's Office, Lafayette Township, are in Discord. I organized them by the date I received each release, not by topic. So we can track when information hit and what changed between drops. If the folders look confusing, that's why. This show will always give you receipts. That's what separates Tentacle Nation from everyone else. We don't just tell you the story, we show you the proof. Everything starts from the QR code here that I'll input right here, or you can go to www.theinfamousexchief, spelled exchief.com, theinfamousexchief.com, or scan the QR code. Links also will be in the description below. But you will land on this page, which is my one-stop shop for communication, or if you want to help support the show. All right, if you go to Discord right here, if you have not previously joined it, it will give you the option and opportunity to join by accepting the invite here. All right, there are 6 people online as filming right now. I have a couple of different Discords. Got to go to the show's Discord channel, which is right here. And if you scroll down on the left here, you will see case files, Bryon Macron case. There are also case files for Christian Olsen and Don Pacella. All right. But if you go to the Bryon Macron case, you will see BCI files from Public Records Request 2025, Medina County Prosecutor's Office Public Records Release, the Village Inn video, Medina County Board of Commissioners. This viewer, a long time ago, converted the video from the Stevenson residence so that it could be easily played. All right. I think these are more full Medina County Sheriff's Office reports and the Lafayette Public Records requests. All right. I'm sorry. I thought I'd... Yes, so this is the Medina County Sheriff's Office dump. So if you... not the icon. Do not hit the icon like I just did. Hit over here, the link. All right. Hit the link over here. You'll be brought into responses, different responses. All right. Audio, photographs, everything that, pretty much everything that Medina County has offered us. If you are looking specifically for the photos, if you go to the post section towards the top here, Bryon Macron, I had actually made a pinned conversation here, books, first records. All right. If you go into this section and you click on this item here, this will show up on this side with the link talking about, because again, on this platform, we show receipts. So a big shout out to Kickback Tommy. Thanks for the information, man. And I hope you like coffee, because I'm going to send you some infamous ex-chief coffee to sample. So we had a partner that came in, some coffee shop, I believe out of Chicago. I think it's the old Chicago coffee shop, I believe. No idea if this new partner is any good or if the coffee is any good. All right. But I will make certain to give you, I think they have a sample pack here somewhere. I don't know. There's a sample pack of the infamous ex-chief coffee. Now for a quick look at analytics. We're averaging about 5,000 views per episode, often more later on. But YouTube shows most viewers aren't subscribed. So consider becoming an official member of the Tentacle Nation. According to YouTube's own documentation, views and interaction, not subscriber count, determine trending reach. So give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Apparently YouTube likes it either way. Drop a comment or an emoji. It tells the system this case matters and pushes it to new viewers. Stick around to the end for updates and new developments. If you send in a lead, you might hear it mentioned there. So this segment has been one of the most frustrating for me to put together. I've been through the records, I think line by line, and I still can't find what Paul Hartman claims to have found. He talks about things that are in the file, at least not any file that I've ever been given access to by BCI, the Medina County Sheriff's Office, or Lafayette Township. And he has a habit of presenting theories as facts. There's nothing wrong with chasing a lead, but there's a difference between developing a theory and declaring something as truth without evidence. He reminds me of the type who makes bold, confident statements that don't hold up once you check the record. And let me be clear, this isn't a hit piece. Some of Hartman's work was salad. He got into Bryon's computer when Medina County, BCI, they couldn't.
Victoria, because the sheriff would not release the phone. Victoria had an old phone. She went to AT&T and transferred the number to the old phone, right? That gave us then the ability to contact Google Gmail. They sent the code, the code that you need to change the password, and then we changed the password. We got in there, and there's some real strange stuff here. The one thing we found straight away is that all of Bryon's emails had been deleted.
When were they deleted?
We don't know that, but they were deleted up to the date of this event. Now, he didn't delete them.
He found potential witnesses on Bungalow Bay that authorities overlooked. The problem is how his mistakes were weaponized by a select group I call the Disinfo Cartel. People more interested in distorting the truth than finding it. They took Hartman's errors and magnified them tenfold. Hartman also wrote a bizarre blog. We'll get into that another time, but it makes his axe to grind with Medina County pretty obvious. Background-wise, Hartman was a postal inspector. I don't pretend to know exactly what they do, but they're not homicide investigators. When I worked cases, we used postal inspectors to find people usually tracking benefit checks to addresses, not to analyze crime scenes or digital evidence. So yes, he had some investigative experience, but not the kind you need for a death investigation. He positioned himself like an expert and treated guesses as facts. That's why this part of this case is so hard to unpack. After Bryon Macron vanished, one man planted himself in the middle of the chaos. Paul Hartman. Depending on who you ask, he was either a helpful family investigator or a self-appointed digital cowboy, with just enough technical knowledge to be dangerous. His BCI interview, recorded August 14th, 2018, runs nearly 1 hour and 47 minutes. We're not going to play the whole thing, but here are the highlights. If you want to hear the entire interview, the audio is in the Discord, and I'll make a post specifically today to easily reference it. So, things I want to talk about his interview. Number one, access to Bryon's Google account. He and Victoria transferred Bryon's old number to get into his Google account. He claims he found some strange searches, like how long it takes to die from blood loss, but never clarifies when or how those were made. It's impossible to tell if those were Bryon's searches or Hartman's after he logged in. He talks about we got into his Google account and there were some strange things in there. Number two, the changed password confession. He admits, I can't get back in it now because I changed the password. That one move destroyed the chain of custody. No way to separate original data from his own activity. Number three, the speculation about Bryon's mental state. Hartman starts guessing about Bryon's emotions and motives. None of it exists in any report. Number four, the shoot this line. He says his big mistake was he didn't shoot this at the time. That's not evidence. That's pure emotion. Number five, unsupported claims about computer files. He alleges hundreds of deleted or suspicious items, but no BCI forensic report backs that up. Now, I will point out, when I looked at the phone dump that was conducted by, I believe, Brunswick PD, I think it was Detective Shizmenos, if I recall correctly, had dumped Bryon's phone. And I don't know if we've gotten into it, honestly. There were hundreds of items that were deleted, and they were deleted at a time when Bryon supposedly had already left his phone at the administration building. So there would theoretically be no way for Bryon to be deleting all of these events, messages, calendar events, I believe, messages. There were hundreds of items that were deleted, and that was discovered from the phone dump. So it's slightly separate from what Paul Hartman is referring to here, I think. I think he's referring to his Google account, and again, there's nothing to back that up. So number six, contradictions. Everywhere he switches between I saw it myself, we think Bryon searched this, and we can't access it anymore. You can't build a timeline from that. And number seven, investigators' response. BCI barely challenges him. The typical Charlie Snyder two-step. They let him talk, never ask for screenshots or proof. That silence let speculation turn into record. So I'm going to insert this portion here, and I'm going to call it the ante. But Scott, you are purposely not talking about this. So I'm putting this in here. There's also some documentation where Paul Hartman is going to be talking about backpage prostitution. And I just want to caveat and say this. We need to pause for a second. We have not gotten into it. I guess we haven't gotten into it because it's actually very lengthy. It's going to take me a pretty decent amount of time, I think, to go over that material. Now, there is material we sort of pre-shadowed with the interview with Peggy last time relative to a bunch of times that Bryon's phone, I'm going to put it that way, Bryon's phone, that's the only thing we can actually concretely state, Bryon's phone accessed website Backpage. And it was during a certain period of time, I think 2015 to, I can't remember, honestly. I wasn't prepared for this because I didn't really want to get into it too much until I can fully get into it. But for a short period of time, Bryon's phone accesses Backpage. Backpage, in case you didn't know at the time, it's actually shut down, I think, or at least that portion of the Backpage is shut down, was a way to get escorts. Now, do I fault anybody for going down the rabbit hole of investigating, yeah, hey, his phone's going to Backpage. Do we need to look at this? Absolutely. But in law, Ohio law at least, there is proof beyond reasonable doubt, which is what is needed in a trial. And then in civil trial, it's preponderance of the evidence, which means 51%. Is it more likely than not that something occurred? And that's the same thing with probable cause. To make an arrest, a police officer has to have probable cause, which is that 51% marker, right? Notice that. A police officer can actually arrest you at 51%. In order to convict you, it needs proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So you've got 0, you've got the 50% marker, 51% is preponderance, which is for civil, or probable cause for criminal, for police officers to arrest you. Okay, and then you have all the way over here beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, do I fault anybody for investigating the Backpage escorts? No, I don't. But I'm going to give you a prequel of my philosophy, and you're more than welcome to argue with me on it all day long. There is zero evidence that Bryon Macron ever attempted to solicit or talk to or hook up with any of these escorts in any way. There's no phone records, there's no emails, there's no texts, there's nothing, no evidence. But I needed to bring this out because I didn't want people to say, oh, you're purposely not talking about this, Scott. It's a moot point for me. Does it need to be discussed? Yes, we need to discuss it. We will discuss it. But there is zero evidence supporting it. Now, I really think this allowed Medina County and BCI the ability to not investigate further, because here you have someone who has come in as a family advocate or from the family's side. And let's face it, I have no idea. I can't imagine what is going through Victoria's mind at this point. And this guy comes up and says he's going to help her. All right. At this point, nobody else is really helping her. So I'm not faulting Victoria at all for utilizing Paul Hartman. But I think that his conduct allowed Medina County the opportunity to say, hey, well, look, the family advocate here, this family investigator, is making these claims, so why should we press and further investigate if their own investigator believes this? And I think it damaged a lot of the ability for a proper investigation to take place, even if they wanted to. I don't know that Medina County even wanted to have a proper investigation into this. But this gave them the perfect excuse why not to. So those are the key takeaways from Paul Hartman's BCI interview. If you want to hear the interview, again, it's in Discord. I'll post it on a pin drop today in the Bryon Macron case. And like I said, it's hard to tell where Bryon's activity ends and Hartman's begins. He mixes what he found, what he searched, and what he assumed Bryon did, all in the same breath. And none of it was verified by any independent source. Not by BCI, not by Google, and not by the Medina County Sheriff's Office. Which brings us to what happened next when the digital evidence fell apart under real scrutiny. In 2019, Hartman emailed BCI a file called Google Cloud Location Information. He said it came from a forensic extraction of Bryon's account, a claim he wasn't qualified to make. BCI agents Charlie Snyder opened the file and found 156 GPS entries from 2014 to 2016, but none of them between December 10th and September 21st. So it's December 10th, 2016 to September 21st, 2017. That's a 9-month blackout covering Bryon's disappearance. If the phone wasn't syncing, those searches couldn't have come from Bryon. The most logical explanation? Hartman's discoveries were generated after he changed the password and logged in himself. So what's true and what isn't? Not everything Hartman said was wrong. His claim about mass deletions from Bryon's phone, I talked about it here a second ago, is accurate. I've seen it myself on the phone dumps. The forensic dump shows hundreds of deleted entries, calendar events, contacts, data entries, all removed after the investigator said Bryon had left the township building. Those deletions are real, but he tried to tie them into the unverified Google searches, and that connection doesn't exist in the evidence. So for now, the deletions are fact, the searches are highly questionable. So what law enforcement never did? Across every Medina County and BCI file, there's no record of any subpoena to Google for Bryon Macron's data. Not one. Instead of preserving evidence properly, investigators relied on a civilian with a personal stake. No chain of custody, no authentication, no verification. A simple Stored Communication Act subpoena could have produced verified Google metadata, drive contents and location history straight from Google servers. But they never did. Hartman's chaos highlighted a bigger problem, a system that doesn't verify its own evidence. Law enforcement didn't preserve his findings, compare them to surveillance, or confirm anything. The same failure bled into the physical evidence, the stop-and-go video, the Village Inn footage, and the Stevenson residence camera, all handled inconsistently and eventually discarded. While Paul Hartman may have been wrong about a lot, his mistakes exposed something bigger, a system that can't tell the difference between bad data and a good lead. So I want to get in and talk real quick about updates. One of the last episodes we were, actually I think it's been 2 episodes now at this point ago, we were talking about the covert cameras being installed. And I had sent in a public records request. There was some communication going back and forth at that point relative to the public records requests that I had shared. And I wanted to assist. I didn't want to tie up a lot of resources for them on this because I pretty much had a gut feeling that there was really no reported incidents as to vandalism to the fire trucks or anything in the administration building. And that was pretty much confirmed. There were, I'm looking over here thinking that I'm sharing my screen. So I tightened the request to 2015 and 2016, but this is the Wedgwood address, which is the Lafayette, the then Lafayette Fire Department. And you can see they what I initially requested for, hey, can you just give me like the CAD so I can go through and see like the calls themselves. All right, so this is all the way to 25. There's 34 pages all the way to 25. I was mainly looking at incidents that occurred around the time of Bryon's disappearance or just prior to Bryon's disappearance. So we're looking at right here, we'll say August of 16. And you can go through and see, you can pause this if you want and look. Traffic stop, extra patrols, ambulance requests. There's no reports here, folks, of any type of vandalism around that time that would have called for those cameras to be installed. So I wanted to give an update on that. So 7:37, you can see right here, that's, if you remember, that's the time frame when Bryon was discovered by Rick Evans and Michael Costello. And that's what these couple of incidents were about. Now, they did, I did ask for a couple of these reports because I thought it was odd, because this is Bryon's case number right here. But on the same date and time, they pull a separate case here. And there's a couple of other ancillary things that, suspicious persons, suspicious vehicle, which ended up being I believe, a reporter from Akron Beacon Journal. But these are some of the records. Again, there's no justification that I can see of why those cameras were installed. There was nothing reported as far as vandalism on any of the fire truck's apparatus, is what was reported to the public, is why, at some point, why the cameras were installed. That's the excuse that was given to the public. Well, there was nothing reported as far as vandalism or theft, anything of that nature around that time frame. I wanted to knock that out. So that's an update. So let's wrap this up. Paul Hartman didn't just muddy the waters. He helped the system hide the truth at the bottom of the lake. And in Medina County, that seems to be the plan. Let confusion do the cleanup. But here, confusion dies in the daylight. I'm Scott Gardner, the infamous ex-chief. Be loud, be heard, shake the system until the truth falls out.